teacher, a student, a horrifying betrayal of trust, and a baby born from the unthinkable. This isn't just a crime story, it's a nightmare that played out in a 5th grade classroom. And it leaves us asking, how did no one see the signs? And why, when female predators are exposed, do we treat them differently from their male counterparts? 34-year-old elementary school teacher Laura Karen, who groomed, manipulated, and sexually abused an 11-year-old boy in her classroom, resulting in a pregnancy that would expose one of the most chilling child abuse cases in recent history. 5th grade. An age of innocence, playground friendships, childhood dreams, but for one 11-year-old, childhood was stolen by the very person entrusted to educate him and protect him, Laura Karen. She was more than just a teacher to this little boy. She was a trusted adult, a mentor. She babysat him and his siblings. She built a close friendship with his mother, ensuring an unbreakable bond of trust with the family, and under the guise of closeness, she executed one of the most disturbing grooming cases in recent history. This wasn't a one-off offense either. This was years of calculated abuse. And yet, no one noticed. Here we go again. A grown woman who's visibly pregnant, single, teaching in a classroom, and no one asks any questions. It wasn't until a single damning Facebook post, one simple picture of Karen's newborn son, that the truth began to unravel. And in what a way. Wow. The resemblance to her student was undeniable. Hindsight is always 20/20. But in cases like this, we have to ask, were there warning signs? Right? Grooming isn't something that just happens overnight. It happens over time, slowly progressing. It's a slow, deliberate process designed to break down barriers, desensitize a child to abuse, and manipulate their perception of reality. There are 4 stages of grooming. Flattery, where the predator showers the child with attention, making them feel special. Favoritism, where the child receives extra privileges, right? Private time and, oh my God, gifts. And then there's the forbidden fruit, where the adult introduces inappropriate topics, bending boundaries, testing limits. And then finally there's fear, where the child is made to feel responsible, guilty, terrified of exposing the abuse, and so they keep the abuser's secret. Karen followed this textbook pattern. She embedded herself into the family. She ensured that no one would question why their son spent so much time with her at her house, why he slept over, why she was always there. And yet this case forces us to face a brutal reality. When a woman preys on a child, the response is vastly different, right? If a male teacher had committed the same acts, had spent the same amount of time with this little boy, there would have been public outrage. There would have been a harsh sentence. There would have been immediate retribution. But society has long held on to this ridiculous belief that male victims of female predators somehow wanted it, right? That an 11-year-old boy was lucky. Oh my God. But let's be clear, this was not a relationship. This was sexual assault. So what drives a grown woman to prey on a child? Well, psychologists who study female sex offenders note that they often exploit themselves in nurturing roles, right? They're teachers, they're nurses, they're caregivers, they're babysitters, right? To gain access to their victims. Unlike male predators, who often exert their aggression against female offenders, right? They use emotional manipulation, females do, creating a false sense of intimacy. Laura Karen is not an anomaly, unfortunately. We've seen this before. And Mary Kay Letourneau was the classic case, right? Teacher who abused her 12-year-old student, got pregnant, served time, and then immediately went back to her abuser just to do it again upon her release. And then we have Deborah Lefebvre, another teacher whose lawyer infamously argued in court that she was too pretty to serve time in prison. Wow. Pamela Rogers, who continues sending explicit messages to her victim even after serving jail time, right? The pattern repeats itself. And yet we still hesitate as a society to send these women to prison or to call them what they are, which are predators. I mean, imagine this, being 11 years old and learning that you are about to become a father. mind blown, right? This child, the victim, had no concept of what was happening to him. He was manipulated into believing that this was love, that he was special, right? And when the truth came out, his first reaction wasn't to seek justice, right? You guessed it, it was to defend Karen. In his mind, Karen is the victim. He begged his mother not to punish her, not to report her, right? Because he feared Karen would get in trouble. And that's exactly what these abusers count on, right? I mean, his warped sense of reality, his younger siblings had seen things, but they witnessed Karen entering the bathroom when their brother was showering. They witnessed, their brother coming out of Karen's bedroom in the morning where he wasn't in his usual sleeping quarters, right? And it wasn't until they saw it on Facebook, when they saw the baby, that they finally spoke up. These are his younger siblings, right? Younger than 11, right? They're the reporters. I mean, a DNA test confirmed the truth. This wasn't just a teacher who had inappropriate relationships. This was an abuser. And now there was a living, breathing, undeniable piece of evidence, right? A child born out of this crime. I mean, it's pretty egregious. But why do we treat them differently? I mean, that's the question. Why aren't female predators, incarcerated, harshly sentenced, right? I mean, if this was a man, the public would have demonized him immediately, within seconds. But because she's young and attractive, the public opinion will say, well, maybe the boy wasn't traumatized. Hello, people, that is the trauma, right? And arguably, it's far worse. I mean, this 11-year-old wasn't just a survivor. He's now a father. He's a father, and he's going to be made to live with this for the rest of his life. And the poor child is going to be made to live with it for the rest of his life. And in Karen's case, her relationship with the victim's family, right, facilitated the abuse, right? She was their trusted babysitter, their trusted teacher. The mother thought nothing of sending all of the siblings, including her 11-year-old son, into the care of Karen, right? And hers is a prolonged pattern of abuse over years. Can you imagine what that poor mom of that 11-year-old must feel, right? She's also been duped. She's also been sucked into this abuse cycle, right? I mean, and the boy, the 11-year-old, he's going to grow up. He's going to struggle with relationships. He's going to suffer from depression. He's going to be traumatized over and over again. And he's going to be re-traumatized when Karen goes to trial. And he's going to be confused and conflicted because he wants to protect her, defend her, but also understand that she was the abuser. I mean, it's a tragedy compounded, right? She belongs behind bars forever. Right? Just as a male predator would. But in the reality is she faces up to 20 years in prison. But what sentence is she actually going to serve? History suggests that she's going to serve a light sentence. And how do we prevent this from happening in the future? If you or someone you know suspects a child is being groomed, call the Special Victims Unit at 609-465-1135. Because predators don't stop unless they are caught, unless we stop them. And the only way to stop them is to call them out for who they really are. Thanks for listening. If you liked what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. It helps me grow. Meanwhile, stay safe, stay aware, and never stop seeking the truth.